Well, would you look at that? A brand new channel all about comics. Welcome, nerds! Let's kick this party off with Osborn's handsome alter ego, shall we? Spider-Man and the Green Goblin have been inextricably linked since the green and purple-clad villain first appeared in 1964's Amazing Spider-Man number 14. While a case could be made that Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man's arch-nemesis, no other villain has caused Spidey more pain and suffering than the Green Goblin, and we're going to look at some of his most painful transgressions. I'm Ben from What Culture, and here are the 10 worst things the Green Goblin has done to Spider-Man. Number 10. Framing Spider-Man for murder. After Green Goblin returned from the dead in 1996, Osborn used the power of the press in a way that known Spidey despiser J. Jonah Jameson never dared to. Osborn used his immense wealth to buy the Daily Bugle and blackmails Jameson and his family in order to gain complete editorial control. Norman then pays off the C-list villain Trapster to murder a street punk named Joey Z by asphyxiating him with his paste gun and making it look like it was Spider-Man's webbing. As the icing on the shit cake, Norman offers a $5 million bounty for Spider-Man's capture, forcing Spider-Man into hiding. Number 9. Turning CARLIE Cooper into monster. While visiting Dr. Octopus's grave, CARLIE is kidnapped by the Green Goblin's henchwoman, Menace. She's tied up and tortured for information about Spider-Man's secret identity, but when she refuses to talk, the Goblin doses her with super serum, leading to the creation of Monster. Poor CARLIE. Number 8. Torturing Peter in an effort to make him the Goblin heir. In 2000's Revenge of the Green Goblin storyline, Norman poisons a tube of Peter's toothpaste with a hallucinogenic. Fun, causing him to have crazy dreams and act irrationally. When Norman deems the time to be right, he abducts Peter and physically tortures him in an effort to get him to reject the light and embrace darkness. Osborn reveals that he wants his opponent to take the Goblin serum and become his heir. Peter rejects Norman's offer and fights back, but during one scene earlier in the storyline, Norman opens the door to Peter's room and floods it with light, causing him to recoil in pain. Norman reminds Peter that he will learn to embrace the darkness and that it's only a matter of time before he becomes Osborn's heir. Number 7. Creating life model decoys of Peter's dead parents. At the end of 1992's Amazing Spider-Man number 365, Peter is legitimately shocked when his parents, long believed to be dead, show up at Aunt May's door. Since nothing ever goes right for Peter, it's eventually revealed that his parents were life model decoys implemented by one of his oldest foes, the Chameleon. But there's a twist. After defeating the Chameleon, Spider-Man finds a computer disk marked for his eyes only. When he inserts the disk, Harry Osborn's Green Goblin, who had died a few months earlier in Spectacular Spider-Man number 200, appears on the screen and tells his old friend that he was the mastermind behind the reappearance of his parents. Number 6. Kidnapping and killing Peter and Mary Jane's baby. By 1996, Spider-Man had lived in a goblin-free existence for a number of years, but Amazing Spider-Man number 418 marks the return of the Green Goblin legacy in a major way. Peter's wife Mary Jane announced she was pregnant a few years earlier, but when MJ delivers the baby, her child is carted away by a mysterious nurse named Allison Mongrain, and the worried mother is told she had a miscarriage. Readers then see Mongrain drive to appear with a special delivery for someone lurking in the shadows. That man is later revealed to be Norman Osborn, back from the dead. Having Norman kidnap and presumably kill May Parker was a despicable move, even for him. I suppose you could call him a infanticide fanatic for wankers. Hashtag infanticide fanatic for wankers. It's been a while. Number 5. Orchestrating the Clone Saga. What started out as a somewhat intriguing concept, Spider-Man's thought-to-be-dead clone from the 1970s returns and questions whether or not he's the real Peter Parker, spiraled out of control as the storyline stretched out for years. One issue after revealing he was back from the dead and had kidnapped baby May, Norman Osborn busts out the old Green Goblin costume and tells Peter that he engineered the Clone Saga. The following fight between the Goblin and Spider-Man and his clone, the Scarlet Spider, reaches a fever pitch when the Goblin's glider impales Scarlet and kills him. So not only did the Goblin mess with Peter's head by convincing him he was a clone, but he also killed the Scarlet Spider, someone Peter had come to think of as a brother. Number 4. Faking Aunt May's death. Following the genuinely touching death of his aunt in number 400, Amazing Spider-Man number 441 kicked off a storyline involving Norman, who was seeking the omnipotent powers of the Gathering of Five. During the storyline, Norman baits Spider-Man by telling him he has another secret to tell him. Peter takes the bait and pursues Norman, but instead of his baby, he finds an elderly woman who looks like Aunt May. Thinking it's another trick, Peter takes the woman to the Fantastic Four, and Reed Richards runs some tests and determines she's the real deal. Norman then explains that he hired an actress to look and act like May while he kidnapped the real one, meaning Peter mourned for no reason. Number 3. Unmasking Spider-Man. In the classic Amazing Spider-Man number 39, the Goblin succeeds in a way that his other villainous contemporaries had failed. He captures Spider-Man and unmasks him, learning his identity. The Goblin also reveals his own identity to Spider-Man during the storyline, creating a unique character dynamic that would continue until Peter's secret identity is restored wholesale during the Brand New Day era. Spider-Man ultimately defeats his newly unmasked adversary in Amazing Spider-Man number 40, but the impacts of his unmasking were far-reaching. Now that the Green Goblin knew Spidey's identity, his mortal enemy was able to strike at him in ways no other villain could. Number 2. The death of Gwen Stacy. Peter's longtime girlfriend, the sweet and innocent Gwen Stacy, is killed by the Green Goblin when he kidnaps her as a way to get Peter's attention and throws her off a bridge. When Spider-Man attempts to save her, he accidentally snaps her neck with his webbing, or not, depending on who you talk to. She's still super dead though. For Peter, Gwen's death would torture him for years to come, and the situation is only further complicated when, during the ensuing battle with the Goblin, Norman impales himself with his glider and is assumed dead. Despite being his sworn enemy, Norman is Peter's best friend's father, making the situation even harder for Peter to cope with, since he naturally blames himself. Number 1. Sins Past with Gwen Stacy. What could possibly be worse than killing the hero's girlfriend? How about sleeping with her and creating demonic spawn that were hellbent on killing Spider-Man? Yeah! In this arc, Peter discovers that while Gwen and Norman were in Europe, Osborn seduces his girlfriend and has sex with her. Gwen somehow manages to hide the pregnancy from Peter and then gives birth to twins who become physically advanced thanks to being injected with Goblin serum. Hooray! Sins Past warrants inclusion at or near the top of any list like this because it potentially ruins some classic characters and storylines for fans. In essence, Norman's sex drive not only manages to cause anguish for Peter, but for longtime readers of Marvel Comics as well. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to What Culture Comics YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from What Culture, and thanks for watching.